What's happening, guys? Back at you with another video. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the new Teen Wolf movie that premiered on Paramount Plus. So basically going to be giving my thoughts and my review on this movie. So let's go ahead and get into this. So basically the way this movie is set up, just a little clue y'all in on how it's set up. Basically this is taking place about, I think they said about 13, 15 years later after the series ended. Like the original series ended about 6 years ago, but this is taking place about maybe close to 15 years after it actually ended. Basically everybody has moved out of Beacon Hills. A majority of people have moved out of Beacon Hills, and they're off living their own lives in different cities around the world and things like that too. There's still a couple people that still live in Beacon Hills and all that, but basically the way the movie's set up is that it's in this evil, basically the return of this evil force that brings them all back together to come back to Beacon Hills. So basically that's the setup on how they come back to Beacon Hills, bringing them back to this town, and having them join together to defeat this evil force that they faced before. So before I go any further, there's going to basically probably be some spoilers in here. Try not to say too much spoilers, but there might be some slight spoilers in here. So just a fair warning to y'all. Uh, so this was a movie that I was definitely excited for. I was definitely excited for this movie. The trailers, they got me hype and all that. I don't know if it necessarily raised my expectations higher, but I would say that it definitely was. I was definitely hyped for this movie. I was definitely excited for this movie because, like, I like the Teen Wolf series, and I was definitely looking forward to seeing this movie and excited for this sort of reunion between characters and all that, coming back and seeing them. Um, my opinion, I think this movie was definitely a movie made for the fans of the Teen Wolf series. Like, this movie was definitely not for newcomers or anything like that who don't understand some of the story stuff from the series and all that. This was definitely a movie that was made for Teen Wolf fans specifically. I don't think a newcomer or somebody who's hasn't really seen too much of the Teen Wolf series would necessarily understand this movie too much. Even me, like, watching the series, I had to, like, kind of remember some stuff from the series, and kind of got a little slight confusing in some parts, but, like, still was able to understand most of the things that were going on because I watched the series. So this was definitely a movie that was made for fans of the Teen Wolf series more than anybody else, really. So take that as you will. Uh, the way this movie was, I'll just go ahead and say it. I was kind of underwhelmed with this movie. I really was kind of underwhelmed with this movie. I don't know if I set my expectations really high. The trailers did get me excited and they got me hype. I don't know if it was because I set high expectations for this movie or not. Like, I don't know if I really did or not set high expectations for this movie. But when it was all said and done and I finished watching the movie, now, mind you, the movie has a runtime of about 2 hours and 19 minutes, 2 hours 20 minutes, something like that. So when it was all said and done, when I finished watching the movie, I was left slightly underwhelmed with it. I'm not gonna say it's a bad movie or anything like that. It really wasn't a bad movie, but this was a movie that I really felt underwhelmed with. Like, it's definitely a movie that's on par with the series as far as quality is concerned. There's definitely not no high end special effects or CGI going on with this movie. It's definitely on this kind of the same on par quality as the show was. The show didn't have really high budget CGI effects and stuff like that either. But you came to you kind of grown to ignore those, and just enjoy the show for what it was. This was definitely it felt like it was definitely a TV movie. The way it was shot and the way the effects and CGI were definitely wasn't high end or anything like that. So this definitely felt like a for TV movie. Kind of just like I said, this movie just felt like it was basically made for the fans of Teen Wolf specifically, and that really came across with it. And just a couple of things that was going on. This was I don't know if it necessarily hit the nostalgia of the show, but this was definitely one that was made for people that enjoy certain characters. I just felt in this movie there was a lot of characters that got sidelined. There's a bunch of characters that got sidelined in this movie. Like Liam got sidelined, Mason got sidelined, and one of the things that was very good in the show itself was their friendship. You know, the friendship between Liam and Mason was very good. In this movie, they were sidelined. They didn't even talk to each other really, or have that friendship or banter going on between them. They pretty much were sidelined for like more than half the movie, and same goes for some other characters too. Mainly the main focus of this movie, where some of the characters that were at the forefront of this movie were definitely Scott, Derek, Eli, which is Derek's son, Allison, which she is like technically one of the villains. You know, Malia was kind of in there a little bit too, but other than that, there was like no other character. All the other characters felt sidelined. They didn't really felt like they had anything going for them, or you know, really engaged with the plot or this, you know, the story of the movie. So a lot of characters felt sidelined. It was just a couple handful of characters that were like in the forefront of things that really felt like, you know, they're at the forefront of things, and everybody else felt sidelined or, you know, shoehorned in a little bit to, not necessarily shoehorned in, but like, you know, they felt sidelined, or, you know, they felt like they were kind of shoehorned into a scene to where it's like they didn't feel necessary, or, you know, it didn't really make sense to have them there or anything like that. So a lot of characters were it felt like a lot of characters were like that. Uh, some other stuff I guess I gotta say is if you were definitely a Scott and Allison shipper, then this is definitely a movie that you might enjoy more just because of their relationship and all that stuff. And like, you know, I kind of liked towards the end that we actually got them to kind of, you know, come back together and all that. It was kind of nice to see that, but you know, it's just all the things like that too. You know, we got a this character arc, it's kind of mixed reviews on this character arc with Derek, where, you know, spoiler alert, he does end up dying in the movie, and the way he like dies in the movie, he sacrifices himself for his son and everybody else too. So it was kind of mixed reviews on that. For me personally, I thought it wasn't a bad thing to kill him off. I felt like, you know, it was a sacrificial kind of death where he sacrificed himself, and he kind of becomes a true alpha, you know, by the glow in his eyes when he was dying. You see his eyes turn to red, which means he became like a true alpha. So I'm not really bummed about that story arc really. So where his character, it kind of lines up where his character was in the series to now, like from beginning of the series to now, it kind of lines up to how he is as a father and stuff like that. So I'm not really bummed out about that really by his death. Um, we get a returning villain, basically, kind of, I guess, kind of like three villains in this movie is kind of returning villain. We get one of the best villains, in my opinion. A lot of people say it too. It's like the villain from season three, which is the Nagitsune, get his return, but I felt like it was definitely done better in the series as opposed to the movie. It was definitely done way better in the series as opposed to like the movie itself right here. And then we also have Allison. She's coming back from the dead. She lost kind of her memory. She lost some of her memories, and you know they're trying to help her recover memories. But like on the other hand, she's attacking people and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, she's kind of a villain too. And then we get another villain to where it's kind of a mystery villain. You don't know who it is until the reveal is like towards the third act of the movie, and you kind of get the reveal of who it is, and it's like, okay, sure, whatever. But yeah, like I just felt underwhelmed with this movie by the time it was all said and done. After watching it, I just felt like, I don't know, it just felt like something was missing. And a lot of people were saying like, you know, if Dylan O'Brien was in the movie, then it probably would have been better. I'm not gonna go out and say like it would have been so much better if he was in there. I think he could have added some stuff. It could have been slightly better, and he would have added some value, a little bit of value, added some stuff to the movie if he was in there. But I'm not gonna say he would have completely changed this movie if he was in there. The underlining thing was like just the overall movie itself, where it was like, even if he was in there and he kept the same story and all that stuff, it probably still would have been underwhelming for me. You know, even though if he was in there and stuff like that, he could add that extra value of like the comedy and things like that he does. But still, as far as the story is concerned and things, the way things are played out, I don't think it would he would have completely saved the movie itself from that. So really, just things like that were, and like I said, I don't think it's a bad movie or anything like that. I just really felt underwhelmed with it, and some parts felt rushed, some parts felt like we could have skipped over that or something like that, you know. And this is basically like about 3 episodes long. You know, if it's kind of like 3 episodes long mashed together, kind of to make up this movie. So the way it just plays out overall and stuff like that, and the way that by the end of the movie, the way when I was done watching it, I was a little underwhelmed with it. And the way they ended the movie off, they kind of set up if they want to continue the story, they kind of set up a little something to where it could be maybe a sort of spin-off, or at least kind of sort of continuing a story with the character of Eli. If they wanted to continue the story, they kind of leave it off like that. But you know, I don't know if I'm not completely satisfied with this movie. There's certain aspects and certain things I liked about it, but overall as a whole, I'm not completely satisfied with this movie. It's kind of sad to say though, you know, they had this movie premiere and they also had the start of a new series called Wolfpack. They released both the movie and the first episode of Wolfpack. It's kind of sad to say, but I watched the movie first and I watched the first episode of Wolfpack right after that. And it's kind of sad to say that I actually enjoyed this first episode of Wolfpack actually more than the movie itself of Teen Wolf, which is, my opinion, kind of sad to say that I actually enjoyed that episode more than I enjoyed the movie. So that's kind of bad if I'm saying that, and that's kind of bad if I'm, in my opinion, I say that. But nonetheless, we got this movie. It was definitely it was a nice reunion kind of thing to see all these characters come back together and all that stuff. But other than that, I was still underwhelmed with it. I wasn't completely satisfied with this movie, and I just wish they could have done some things better, some things differently. We could have gotten a better movie overall. But no, needless to say, we didn't get that completely. Like I said, it's not a bad movie, but wish they could have done some things better with it. I'm not completely satisfied with this. I'm still underwhelmed, a little underwhelmed with it. But that's the way things go. So yeah. But let me know down in the comments below if you've seen this movie. What are your thoughts on it overall? But that's going to do it for this video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Remember, if you want to be a part of Team Legendary, all you got to do is subscribe and turn notifications on so you know when I post another video. Hope y'all have an awesome day. And remember, be legendary.